G'day guys, welcome to today's tutorial. Today we are talking about the seated row and in particular using a mag grip while we do a seated row. So for those who haven't used a mag grip before, the way they differ is, well, firstly they're probably not as wide as say a normal traditional sort of wide grip. Say we use a lat pull down bar to do a wide grip row. They're not that wide, and also we can't grab a hold of them like we would traditionally, where we have our thumb and our index finger wrapped right around. So that in itself poses new challenges, stimulates the muscle in a different way, and as a result we might be able to cause some growth as a result of that. Now, because we can't do things like strapping in, because obviously we're limited to our grip strength, would I use this as a particular starting point of our normal rows? Probably not. We're more likely to do our big heavy compound rows that we can both strap in for and also move large amounts of weight with. However, that being said, we could definitely use the mag grip seated row say towards the tail end of our session, when we're just potentially trying to get a little bit more extra volume in, where our grip isn't so much of a problem of giving way first before our back gives way. So we would probably use this once we have pre-exhausted our back muscles. Then we can start diving in and playing around with our grip and stimulating it in a different way. Now, the beauty about the mag grip, because of the way our grip is set up, we can actually create a little bit of force traveling out and back towards us. So we're going to follow all the same principles that we would when it comes to our seated row. Now, if you haven't watched the seated row tutorial, go across and watch the seated row tutorial. I'll cover a few points, but well worth a watch of that if you haven't already. Now, first things first, whenever we do a seated row, what we want to make sure is that we're going to create a little bit of stability through our legs by screwing them into the platform that we have available. Now, depending on how high your feet are too, it might be worth you even placing your feet on the ground and slightly ahead of you, because of the way we want our body to be seated. So a lot of people, when they do a seated row, they end up back here and they rip themselves off both range of motion, and they do that because they try and overload the weight, so that they can look a little stronger than potentially they are. Now, if we're going back here and we're limiting range of motion, then we're also not getting the most out of the muscle. We're not stimulating it the way we want it to, and as a result of that, it's probably not going to grow as well as that we want it to grow. So what we're aiming to do is we're going to keep our feet slightly lower than, say, up high. So normally some people like to row with their feet maybe parallel to their body. We're actually going to have our feet a little lower, because what that's going to allow us to do is slightly tilt forward. Now, why do we want to tilt forward? Well, again, if we rock back, not only is our range of motion poor, but by seating forward, what happens is that it allows us, or it starts to take out this momentum, okay? Or you can identify momentum creeping in, and so what I'm referring to is, a lot of people think that it's like rowing a boat, okay? We actually need to remove this idea of rowing a boat when it comes to doing a seated row, because you actually want to stay stationary. So with this, we want to be in this position here rowing, because not only does this allow full range of motion, it also promotes us to get a full retraction. Now remember, any row that we do, no matter what, is pretty much all based around going from this position to here, okay? If we don't have this retraction of the scapula, you may as well put the row down, because you're not getting, well, the row is designed to do scapular retraction. That's the whole purpose of the exercise. So you may as well put it down, either light load or not do the row at all. Now, from this position, again, from here, how do we identify momentum creeping in? Well, if we start to rock back, okay, we start to hinge and pivot off this point here, then we know that it's crept in and we're starting to look for a mechanical advantage. Now, look, at the end of the working set, your last working set, and you're looking to get those few extra reps, then look, sure, a slight little bit of momentum just to get a few cheap reps in might work. Okay, ideally not, but it might just get you there's a few more just to finish you off. That being said, if they're creeping in set 1, set 2, if they're creeping in, in the first 5 reps of set 1, then lighten the load. It's got to happen. Okay, so let's talk about the mag grip now. So obviously we want to be screwed in, we're going to be seated forward, and we're going to be grabbing a hold. Now, earlier I alluded to the fact that we're going to be pulling the grip apart. What is it that I'm wanting you to do? Well, if I grip a hold here, I want you to think that the middle of this mag grip is now connected and that we are going to be pulling it apart. So we're going to be shoulder blades back and down, we're going to be pulling the mag grip apart, and from here we're going to row to our hip. So again, shoulder blades back and down, row to the hip, bang, 1, and push that chest forward, 2, and you're going to feel not only your lats come alive, but when you are doing your rows, you're going to feel the middle of your back come absolutely alive and really overload. Now, for those who struggle to feel that retraction, using the mag grip and pulling the mag grip apart and creating external force this way, you're going to feel the middle of your back come absolutely alive. So it's well worth you pursuing and giving this a crack. So again, we're going to pull our shoulder blades back and then we're going to screw our feet in and we're going to slightly lean forward. From here, we're going to pull our hands out and you're going to feel your elbows want to flare out, and we're going to allow that to happen. So again, shoulder blades back and down, allow these elbows to flare out, pull to the hips, 1, remember, push to the chest through, and you're going to feel the middle portion of your back come absolutely alive. Team, that there is how you want to go about doing your mag grip seated row. I hope you picked up a few tricks and tips in this particular tutorial.